Welcome in to the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook. Download the app and use promo code CHGO when you sign up. Happy Wednesday. I'm Jay Zawaski with Greg Boysen and Mario Tirabassi. We are once again here in our West Loop studios. We've got kind of a fun show on deck today. Since the Hawks have not played in quite a while, really for the first time all year.
We've run out of things to talk about.
Well, I wouldn't say. I think we did our mailbag show and we did, some other topics, and we keep getting asked these same questions, and while we address them in short bursts, we're going to use today's show to kind of answer these what if questions in longer form, right? So we've spent a lot of time over the last week or so talking about what happens if Toews and Kane stay, don't want to be traded, whatever. That's been covered. If you missed those, go listen to the mailbag show. Go listen to the Toews and Kane analysis show we did. I think that was last Friday. That's out there. So we're not going to get to that one today. But I think the first thing we're going to start with is, what if the Blackhawks are too good to tank? Yeah. Right? What if they're too good to end up with a meaningful draft pick? Meaning, to me, meaningful is top 3. This draft may be top 5.
Yeah, I think first off, I mean, all right. So let's unwrap this. The Blackhawks are playing right now, okay enough hockey to squeak out some wins, and it does not seem like they are playing at a sustainable level to where they're still going to be able to squeak out some of these wins, or, kind of work their way back into, being down 3-1 and coming back and tying it and forcing overtime, things like that. It's not sustainable. They're very poor at 5-on-5. Their power play is not great. And goaltending is all over the place because whoever is in net is all over the place. Not just Alex Stalock being all over the place, but literally who actually is going to be in the net.
Yeah.
So it doesn't seem sustainable for where they're at right now. But if they tweak some of those things, if they get consistent goaltending, if they get consistent production at 5-on-5, you may be looking at a team that could hover right in the middle of the league, which is the worst place that you want them to hover.
Right.
So what if they're too bad to tank? What if they're too good to tank? You run into NHL hell, where, especially in this draft, you're not talking about a rebuild accelerating talent like Connor Bedard or Adam Fantilli, but you're also not talking about really meaningful playoff run, because you're not built to do that. So you're kind of put in a horrible position where you don't know what you're going to do at the trade deadline. You probably won't be able to tank your way back down into the top 3, and you're not going to go for it, right? It just seems like if tanking is not going the way that Kyle Davidson built the team to do, as we get to January and February, it really completely throws a wrench into this year. And we talked about it all off season. This year and the way that this season went meant so much because of the ultimate goal being a top 3 pick. And if this year doesn't go according to plan, then you kind of have to go, okay, plan A did not work. Plan B doesn't look like it's going well either. What's C? What's D? What's E? What are these other scenarios that hopefully Kyle Davidson has a plan for?
Yeah, I agree with you, Mario, on the what if not really having to worry about this one. Another factor of why it's going to get harder for Hawks to win, all of a sudden after 3 weeks, those offensive problems we talked about all preseason long have been creeping in.
Yeah.
Blackhawks have 3 goals in their last 3 games, and one of those was during 3-on-3 overtime.
Right.
So they only have 2 goals in regulation in their last 2 games. That seems more like the norm than the 5-goal outbursts we saw against Edmonton or San Jose. Mm-hmm. So I agree that what if they're not good enough to get one of those top picks? I don't think we're going to have to worry about it when it's all said and done come April, but what if. I don't think it's a complete disaster. I don't think it's a complete failure of a season. I think Kyle Davidson will do whatever he can to, hey, instead of waiting until March 3rd to trade all of our good players, maybe we start trading them at Christmas. I don't think Kyle Davidson came into this season with all we're focusing on is getting the number 1 overall pick, and we don't have any kind of scenarios planned out for anything else. He is GMs of the past would have definitely done that, but he is much smarter than that and has a game plan and has a contingency plan, and he's got a whole staff of people that have input. So I'm sure, the numbers have been crunched time and time. Jeff Greenberg is a numbers guy. I'm sure he's got funky graphs that, certain other Twitter hockey accounts would probably be very jealous of. Of this happens, we do this. If this happens, we do this. So if they're too good to tank and they don't get a top 3, a top 5 pick, I don't think it's the end of the world. It's not ideal. You obviously want one of those guys, but if it doesn't happen, I'm sure there's a plan B. That's why they have extra first-round picks already this year and are going to look to get more. So if you don't get a top 3 pick, you don't get the number 2 overall pick, number 1 overall pick, you still may have 3 to 4 other picks in that round that you either use them individually. Instead of getting 1 generational talent, you get 4 first-round level players, or you use those to get one of those picks. Just because you don't necessarily get it based on your record doesn't mean he doesn't find a way to somehow still pull that off. We've seen him be super aggressive at the draft already.
Yeah, he's not afraid. That's for sure.
He will make an unpopular move if it fits his game plan. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about the echoes coming from the fan base, coming from the media. So if his team isn't good enough to get one of those picks, he'll find a way to get one.
Yeah. My fear is that there are some teams that are that we are not counting on to suck that absolutely suck.
Yeah.
The St. Louis Blues have 6 points in 11 games. They're absolutely terrible. They're minus 20 in goal differential. The Hawks,
I don't
by
see
comparison,
that being,
are minus 5.
I don't see that being sustainable either. I don't see them being that bad. I don't see them making a run like they did in 2019. But you know what? As I said, I don't think Craig Berube is the coach when the Blues are here November 16th.
If it stays like this, I don't know how you justify it. You got to do something quick.
So you get that, you get that new coach bump, and you win 5 in a row. All of a sudden, you're still bad, but you're not. Yeah. You're not Connor Bedard bad.
No, right. I think, are they one of the 5 worst teams in the league? Yes. I think without question they're one of those teams. And you're right. Like, the offense has come back to, like, obviously Jason Dickinson and Sam Lafferty have not remained point-per-game players.
What?
Right? Yeah, I know. Who could imagine that,
Surprise.
right?
Failures.
And, Taves is scoring well, but he's got a really high shooting percentage. Conversely, Kane is not scoring so many goals, but he's got a really low shooting percentage. So those things will kind of probably even each other out a little bit. And yeah, it feels like even if, Taves and Kane decide they want to finish their season in Chicago, there's still a bunch of pieces that might go at that deadline. Domi and Athanasiou almost for sure. That's going to hurt the team on the ice. But then you start talking about, do they call up Reichel at some point this year? Or is he see, that's kind of the thing that remains to be seen, right? Are they waiting till after the deadline to call these Rockford guys up? Or are they just saying Rockford's going to be Rockford this year? We're going to try to have them win the Calder Cup and then deal with it everybody next year. That's kind of the strangeness here. Because if Lucas Reichel finds that consistency, finds that compete, finds the game in all 3 zones, maybe they say, look, we can't justify keeping this kid down anymore. That will probably help the NHL team a little bit. But, yeah, I think that top 5 is probably still safe. There's just a lot of teams that we were not expecting to be this bad that are bad. No. And, yeah, the Blues will probably bounce back. I don't know about the Blue Jackets.
Yeah, I mean, if they get some goaltending, they'll be all right. And they just got what's his face back, I believe.
Korpisalo? Yeah.
So is he a Vezina Trophy caliber goalie? No, but that's a team that you don't go out and sign Johnny Gaudreau to get to worry about your lottery position.
Or you do.
I mean, I think they'll improve. Now, will they be a contender? Probably for it, but they're not going to be at this point percentage. The rest they'll get better. They'll improve. It's still going to come down, I think, to the Hawks and the Coyotes. The Coyotes, they got 11 points.
Yeah.
They beat Buffalo on the road.
Yeah.
We couldn't beat Buffalo on the road. They did.
Right.
They're in the midst of a 14-game winning streak and beating the crap out of the Sabres.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's so much hockey left to go. We got 70 games left on the schedule. These things are going to shake out, and I think by the time we get to the post-trade deadline, it's going to be most of the teams we expected to be there. Now, maybe there'll be a team that isn't, and they'll be replaced by a team that we didn't expect, like the Blue Jackets will hang around. But in the end, it's just it's too early to really be worried about what other teams if they're not winning enough.
Honestly, beyond the Sharks and beyond the Coyotes, all the teams behind the Hawks in the standings are on paper significantly better than them.
The Wild.
Yes.
The Colorado Avalanche are going through a bunch of injuries right now.
The Canucks, the Ducks.
Yeah. We're going to get a look at the Ducks this weekend. I think with their speed and their talent, they're going to give the Hawks some fits.
Yeah.
Saturday night. So, it'll be all right. There's a long way to go. Some of these teams haven't found their groove yet. There's always teams that struggle in October, but then, they're right there in the playoff race. And the thing is, you still have a lot of games against these teams.
Yeah.
You're going to play the Blues 4 times. So, just don't beat the Blues.
Moral victories.
Yeah, like
for
just
some moral victories.
like or when you play the Ducks on Saturday, maybe, don't try as hard. I would never suggest that, but just losing to these teams that
Like
are
we
right.
said, those are the Stalock starts, but we can't say that anymore.
No, those are the Mitchell Week starts.
There you go.
Yeah.
But there's plenty of time to play. You're going to play all these teams that are behind you right now multiple times. Things are going to shake out, and let it fall where it falls, because it does. Even if you do finish with the worst record in the league, you're still not guaranteed Connor Bedard. So just let it shake out. I wouldn't worry too much about standings every single day. Let a few games pass before you check the standings if you're that worried about it, and then maybe you'll feel better.
Yeah, Dr. Horror Show says, would Bedard slide?
No.
Like Fantilli and Michkov are amazing too.
No.
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 The only way Bedard slides,
Is if
and
he
I don't
dies.
even know.
And he still might get drafted in the first round. If his legs fall off.
Well, this guy here is dead. Well, you know what? We got high hopes. We're going to let it play out.
His ghost would probably still get top 6 minutes.
It would have
somewhere.
to be an off-ice scandal. It would have to be a catastrophic injury, and knocking on wood, neither of those things happen.
Right.
But
as we've learned, off-ice scandals aren't stopping NHL teams from signing guys.
well, you know what? They did not allow that signing in Boston.
yeah.
So.
Well, he's also not Connor Bedard.
Correct. It would take something very out of the ordinary for Connor Bedard to fall out of the first spot. So I would just pencil him in at 1.
Yeah, I would actually use ink. I would use a shark.
And by the way, if you're a GM and you want to get fired, the way to do that is to not take Connor Bedard number 1.
Exactly.
And be like, look how smart I am. Mm-hmm. He who shall not be named. I'm going to take this defenseman number 1, and I'm fired.
Right.
Because Connor Bedard is a generational.
Well, we talked about it before we went on the air. Michkov is the guy that has the potential of sliding down to 6, 7, 8.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because of all the uncertainties of playing in Russia. Even Russia not in the middle of a war, you're going to have to wait 3 or 4 years. So
being under a KHL deal, yeah.
Yeah, so in a dream scenario, the Blackhawks win the draft lottery. They get Connor Bedard at number 1, and then they use some of those extra first round picks they've been collecting and will collect, hopefully. Mm-hmm. Maybe package something and jump back in at 7 and get Michkov, because if you've already got Bedard or Fantilli, you could wait 3 or 4 years, no problem for Michkov to come out.
You could.
Idea.
Yeah.
So there's a dream scenario right there. You win the draft lottery, and then Michkov keeps sliding. So then you get aggressive and say, screw it. Let's trade these 2 Tampa first-round picks to get Michkov as well.
Yeah.
And then you got Bedard or Fantilli. And then, 3 years later, here comes Michkov, and you're like, wow, okay, this is going to be fun.
Yeah, a grown adult Michkov.
Yeah.
Not teenager.
Just think, what Kaprizov did for Minnesota. You think he wasn't worth the wait? Absolutely.
Oh yeah, he was. Yep.
And he hit Drew Doughty in the face. I like him even more.
Yeah, that's funny that he gets hopefully there's no suspension coming for him because he was getting. That was you used some colorful language at the arena. We won't repeat. But he was getting beat up behind the net pretty badly by Doughty.
If Drew Doughty did what he did to Kaprizov out in the streets, he would have gotten arrested.
Drew says the real question is, can the Blackhawks make the playoffs? Oh, don't worry, Drew. That is on our list of what ifs. We will talk about that here in a minute. But first, we want to tell you about our friends at Green Ridge Farm. Did you miss the tailgate this weekend? Well, friends, you missed a spread from Green Ridge Farm like you would not believe. The sausages, the meat sticks, everything was out there, and it was fantastic. We got another tailgate, by the way, this Sunday. Go to allchgo.com to buy your tickets ahead of Chicago versus Detroit. Don't miss that. 8:30 to noon, corner of Roosevelt and Michigan. allchgo.com to get your tickets. Goose Island beer, great food will be out there. It's going to be a great time, so join us there. But Green Ridge Farm last weekend had the meat sticks out there, and I'd never had them heated up before. Mm-hmm. They threw them on the Blackstones, and they got nice and warm. Oh, man, absolutely delicious. They are all natural. They're perfect for tailgating, happy hour, school lunches, packed with protein, 16 grams per stick, hardwood smoked for 8 hours. They come in chicken, black forest beef, jalapeno cheddar, and my favorite, the spicy chili. Broke into my second new pack of spicy chili last night. Absolutely fantastic. If you have not tried these yet, you don't know what you're missing. They're delicious because they're made from recipes generations in the making, all natural, fresh, and flavorful. They're awesome. You can always find them in the refrigerated section at Costco, Sam's Club, or in your local Chicagoland grocery store. I found mine at Pete's. That's where I get mine all the time. They've also got the deli meats there as well, which are amazing. And right now, when you order any 3 meat products at greenridgefarm.com and include a pack of meat sticks in your cart, those meat sticks will be free simply by using the code CHGO at checkout. Green Ridge Farm, simply natural meats.
Hey, and if you are coming to our tailgate on Sunday, first of all, dress warm.
Yep.
Second of all, thank you. But if you want to continue your day and actually go to that Chicago versus Detroit professional football match, you can go and visit our friends at Game Time and grab yourself some tickets for that game. Or if you're looking to go to the Hawks, one of the upcoming Blackhawks home games, and save a ton of money, check out Game Time. They are the hottest new ticketing site that makes it easier than ever to score the best deals on tickets, sports, concerts, and shows. You want to go to that Marian Hossa number retirement game a week from Sunday, November 20th. They got tickets. They're coming down in price. When those tickets first went up there, they were like 120, I believe.
86 right now.
86 bucks. So they're dropping in price. And that's the key with Game Time. Wait it out. You want to go to that game on Sunday? Wait until 30 minutes before puck drop and buy your tickets. You'll get the biggest deals, the best savings. You can get the best seat. Wherever you want to sit, you're going to find where you want it. You want to go see the Hurricanes on Monday? They're a good team. They're a lot of fun. See our Swedish boy, Tavo. Finish. That's what I meant.
$11.
$11 to go see a Stanley Cup contending team in the Carolina. You can get a 300 level ticket for $11 on Game Time. And hey, if you wait till Monday, you might be able to get it for under $10.
Yeah, right.
So check them out at Game Time. You won't find a better deal this season on Bears tickets, Blackhawks tickets. You want to go see the Bulls as well. You can get concert tickets, all kinds, whatever your entertainment needs are. Game Time has you covered. Created by the fans, for the fans. They guarantee the lowest price. If you find a similar ticket on sale on another secondary site for a cheaper price, let them know. They will match it. If you love CHGO, then you'll love Game Time. And the best way to support us is by buying your tickets through the link in the podcast description. So if you're watching right here on YouTube, scroll down, stop at that giant thumb, hit it. Give us those likes, folks. We need those. Those are like oxygen to us. We need them to thrive. And then shortly below that, you will find the link to Game Time. And if you're listening, wherever you're listening to the podcast, wherever, scroll down in the description, you'll find that link. Click it, and then go save yourself money on the best tickets in town. Game Time.
It's going to be a great time out there on Sunday. So looking at Bears tickets for that one. $124 to go watch Justin Fields go wild on the Detroit Lions.
That'd be fun.
It's going to be a lot of fun. All right, let's get to our next what if. All right, what if the Hawks don't have a top 3 pick? What if we're looking beyond Bedard, Fantilli, Michkov? Who are some of the names to keep an eye on? And our buddy Chris Peters has his 2023 draft rankings out already, and I've been doing some reading lately. And his 4th ranked guy is Leo Carlsson, and I like what I'm reading about Leo Carlsson. There's a bunch of names, though. Who do you guys have an eye on?
Yeah, Carlsson, I was listening to Chris's latest podcast for Talking Hockey Sense, where he went through some of the draft prospects, and he basically said Carlsson it's early, but he is playing his way into that level of Bedard, Fantilli, Michkov. Like, it's not just a 3-headed draft class. It's potentially, if Carlsson keeps up what he's doing in Sweden right now, it's a 4-headed draft class, which is better news for the Blackhawks, because then if you land 4, you're not like, crud. No, you get a guy like Leo Carlsson, who's a big, versatile player. What was it, 12 points in 17 games for him in the Swedish top league as a draft eligible kid. Like, and that is just super impressive.
So you know, the European numbers are always much lower than the NHL,
especially for the young kids.
Right, young guys, big ice. The numbers, they don't pile up the numbers like they do in the West.
A year, a night.
One of the worst things you could have is a prospect in Europe playing with the top club, because they're probably playing, like you said, like 5 minutes, like crazy. So, but yeah, I mean, for a player like that to have those kinds of numbers, get that kind of opportunity is really impressive, and you don't really see that very often out of Europe. Looking not much further than Connor Bedard in the WHL, Braden Yeager in the WHL with Moose Jaw. Give you a second to think about where Moose Jaw might be, but
Saskatchewan,
I believe so.
It's home of Billy Carlson from Slapshot.
It's in the jowls of Canada.
Yeah,
perfectly named. He's a guy, a centerman who's a great playmaker. Would be someone that would be very intriguing. I think he's around the 5'6" range in most draft rankings. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely some players that would be very intriguing outside of the top 3. And I think, you know, kind of what we said going into this past summer's draft is going to be true again going into this draft for the Blackhawks, is that forward is still the priority.
Yeah.
I don't think, you know, 9 of 12 or 9 of 11 draft picks in this last summer's draft were forwards. I think you still need to build out the depth of that position, because what you look at right now defensively, you know, you added Korchinski and Rinzel in last year's draft. So you add those 2 guys to what was already a loaded blue line group in the prospect system. I think you can still focus on forwards, maybe get 1 or 2 defensemen, but I think the forward position is still something that needs to be addressed in the Blackhawks depth. So there's going to be a lot of guys in that top, 10, especially between 4 and 10, that are going to be there.
Yeah, and there's a lot of guys that are going to move up. You know, Yaros Slapkovsky was not. He was
not the number one.
He was
prospect
a top 10 guy
at this time last year.
It was Shane Wright, and so he moved up. There's a lot of good forwards. A couple other guys playing junior. Zach Benson, Winnipeg Ice, is having a really good year. He's got 23 points in 17 games so far.
Pretty good.
Colin Ritchie, who's in the OHL with Oshawa, another solid forward. Over in Europe, you have Dalibor Dvorsky playing in Sweden, playing in their equivalent to the AHL. He's moving up the ranks, and a guy that's been moving up, you're going to keep your eye open. Could be this year's Slapkovsky. Not saying he's going to jump all the way to number 1, but he's the guy that's going to move up the ranks, and that's Eduard Sale in Czechia, another big winger that can shoot the puck. So there's plenty of options there. If you don't get top 3, you're disappointed for sure, but you didn't waste the season. Like you're going to be able to get another top line forward with the 4th or 5th or 6th pick. There's a ton of talent,
especially with, we talked about it on Monday, especially with 12 picks combined in the next 2 drafts in rounds 1 through 3.
Yeah,
like you have a lot of flexibility,
and you're going to get more.
Theoretically,
you're going to
yes.
get more. This is how you rebuild. You give yourself as many scratch offs as you can, and you'll hit on them.
And one player that I'm very interested in, and he might come into play with the second first round pick that the Blackhawks have with Tampa, depending on where they end up in the standings. But someone that started in the first draft analysis of the 2023 class was very high. He was around the 5, 6, 7 range, and has dropped down significantly in the first round standings. Is a forward at the University of Wisconsin, Charlie Stramel. I believe it's Chris Peters. Might have been Chris Peters or Scott Wheeler. I can't remember which one. Both friends of the show. Described him as basically a linebacker that plays hockey, and that intrigues me a lot.
Sounds like a Kyle Davidson kind of guy.
Yeah, exactly. And Wisconsin is a shell of itself as a program, and I think the way that program is playing right now is stifling Charlie Stramel offensively, and he had a lot of expectations coming out of the U.S. program, and is just kind of dropping down those rankings. I still think there's a lot of talent there, and it's still early in the season. He could flatten off. He could go back up. Who knows? But if he's, if the perception of him keeps dropping, the Blackhawks, if they keep that expected late first round pick, that might be a player that the talent level is there. It's just maybe the expectations got changed.
Got a good question from Chuckle Mucko I want to get to, but first I need to correct myself. It was not Billy Carlson. It was Billy Charlebois is the slapshot player from Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. I got Billy and Dave Killer Carlson mixed up, and I made them one person. Billy Charlebois is the player from Moose Jaw on the Charlestown Chiefs. My apologies.
Yes,
I'm sorry. It's been too long since I've watched that movie. Sorry.
I just wanted to add another name along that line of maybe that Tampa pick or whatever another first round pick you may or may get that's later.
Sure.
Kid to watch out for, another center from the U.S. national program. It's a name that's familiar to everybody. It's not that guy. Will Smith has been lighting it up.
Getting jiggy with it.
Lighting it up. He's been getting jiggy with it for the national team development program. Let's see here, 16 games for the national team. He's got 31 points.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, and he's got 12 goals, 19 points in 16 games for the under 18 national team, and playing in the USHL level, just 9 points in 5 games.
Also pretty good.
6 foot center. Good skater. Obviously, he's got some scoring ability. So that's a guy to watch out for that second. Kind of a bigger Frank Nazar type player. So,
Well, that's really the only knock on Nazar is that he's not big.
Not as big, yeah.
Well, he's got 3 more inches on Nazar and plays the same type of game.
What?
Yeah. And
Sorry.
I knew I was waiting for it.
Chucko says, relevant hypothetical. Is it better to get a top 5 pick or multiple first rounders in that, say, 5 to 25 category
Why
or
not
beyond?
both?
You could do both.
But no, that's a good question. I mean, look, if it's not Bedard, right?
Yeah.
Because I do still think, as great as Fantilli is probably going to be, and Mitchkov and some of the other guys we've talked about, it's still Bedard and the rest.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So if we're eliminating Bedard from that conversation, then yeah, I think if you get 3 picks in a top 20 or something like that, yeah, I mean, look, yes, the Blackhawks won Stanley Cups because they had star players, Kane, Taves, Hossa, Keith, etc. But the difference is from when they had just those guys, right? The depth. Mm-hmm. We talked yesterday about our Ring of Honor and guys like Dave Bowen and Nicholas Hjalmarsson and on and on and on. Those guys were not high first-round picks, right? They were guys who some were first, some were second. Duncan Keith was a second-round pick, for God's sake. Alex DeBrincat's a second-round pick.
Jarmelson was 4th round.
Yeah, there's talent to be found, and the more of those you can get, the better. So if you're saying, would you trade, 3 picks between 5 and 25 for Fantilli? I would think about it.
I probably would.
Yeah, but beyond those 2, at least as of today, right?
If you're not picking 1 or 2, your better option, would it be like to have like numbers 6 and 13 and 20? Let's do that. That's completely fine if it's not number 1 or number 2.
They're setting themselves up to do that again, though. We already got 2 picks. One of them is Tampa, and Brad says in the chat here that it might not be as low of a pick as we originally imagined.
I mean,
like if they're a playoff team and they get bounced in the first round just because they've made it 3 straight Cup finals and all that stuff starts to catch up with you, all of a sudden that pick is 19, 20 as opposed to 30, 31st. That pick all of a sudden a lot more appealing.
A lot of value.
There's no way you're traded if Patrick Kane decides to get traded. There's no way you're not getting a first round pick in that trade.
Oh, no way.
So there now you have your own pick, which could be top 3. Then you have Tampa, which hypothetically could be 17th, 20th,
somewhere in that range.
Somewhere in that way.
Somewhere in the Renzel range.
Yeah, and then you trade, Patrick Kane to the Rangers, and they,
Wait, he can only go to the Sabres.
Well, they,
Well, even better for the first
for
the first round pick, right?
So then you get a guy that's maybe you get a pick that's 26, 27, somewhere in that range. So now all of a sudden you've got a top 3 pick and then 2 picks in the second. And you can use those 2 first picks to, as I said, pair them together and move back into the top 10 and get another guy.
Also, don't forget, they've got a buttload of cap space and will be one of the first teams that says, hey, if you've got a Peter Mrazek problem, we're your solution.
Yep.
Yeah.
Give us a first-round pick and give us your veteran player you can't afford anymore that is still serviceable and can still help our team. Bring them on. We'll take them. You give us a first-round pick, and I haven't gone through that list of who those guys might be yet, but bring them to Chicago.
I am very, very excited for the next 2 drafts just to see all the maneuvering. Like, can we just fast forward through the rest of the season?
Seriously, draft night on this show.
That was a lot of fun.
It's going to be so – it was
great this year. It's
but
gonna be even
last
better.
year was great, but it was painful because it was DeBrincat was gone, then Doc was gone, and then it was – we didn't love Korchinski at 7, and we're idiots, right? Like, obviously, I think if they redrafted today, he would – if they were to re-list the prospects, he would probably be in that top 5-7 range. So, and then they get Nazar, and we get excited, and then the Mrazek thing happens. It's like, all right, another first, and things start to feel really good. This year, whether or not they have a top 3 pick, I think everybody is going to be nothing but excited for that day.
It's going to be. I can't wait for the draft for so many reasons. But yeah, to do another live show, that was a ton of fun last year. Our draft lottery show is going to be a little nerve wracking.
Oh my God,
that's going to be. We're going to tell you now. We will be on the air while the draft lottery.
I hope we do that in studio this year.
We did it last year.
We weren't able to do it in studio last year, but
didn't we do the lottery show?
No,
wasn't
we did.
It? I thought we were here.
We did it as a remote.
Okay.
I had health issues at the time.
We might have been.
Yeah, I think we were here.
You guys might have been here.
Yeah, because we were watching this TV.
Yeah,
we should do it. Yeah,
but
hopefully we do it all.
We definitely will. Yeah.
I think within this conversation, and being excited for the draft and the opportunity that it presents the Blackhawks and their rebuild is great. And within this of like, would you rather have a pick in the top 5 or multiple outside the top 5 but still in the first round? It comes down to scouting because. Perfect example, and this example will never go away, is the 2015 draft. Boston Bruins worked their way into the 13th, 14th, and 15th picks. They took Jakob Zobril, Jake DeBrusk, and Zach Senyshyn. 16, 17, 18 in that draft were Matthew Barzal, Kyle Connor, and Thomas Chabot. So it comes down to scouting. And we saw last year's draft. I think, obviously it's pretty early to put a definitive grade on Kyle Davidson as a drafter, but it seems like, and if you've been paying attention to Greg and I's weekly prospects notebook, the rebuild report, things are going pretty well so far in the 2022 draft class. Their seasons after being drafted. So I think the outlook is good. And if the Blackhawks and Kyle Davidson and his crew had 3 picks between 5, 6, 7 and the end of the first round, I have some confidence that if it's not a top 5 pick, they're still going to find someone, at least one, that's going to be a real good value that can be a real game changer.
A couple of people in the chat asking about how Sam Renzel is doing.
Yeah, I've got his
Have you not read the weekly rebuild reports.
He got his first goal this last week.
Yes, he did. He's actually been on a hot streak. He's on a 3-game point streak. A goal and 2 assists in his last 3 games. Not only did he get his first goal of the season over the weekend, career high 6 shots on goal in that game.
I believe he leads the USHL in shots as a defenseman.
I believe this is true too. He only had, out of his, let's see here, 11 USHL games, he only has 3 where he's had 2 or fewer shots on goal.
That's an offensive-minded kid.
And it sounds like he's just getting into the groove here.
That's good.
He got called up to the USHL kind of late in the season last year, had 21 games. And I think now he's finding his groove. And as a younger kid, he's not – I don't think he's playing top pair of minutes for Waterloo. I think he's probably on the second pairing, I believe. So, but he's a kid coming into his own. He's be fun to watch. But he's a project, and they knew that coming into it.
He was a borderline first, second round talent coming out of Minnesota high school. Like that's a roll of the dice there.
Right. But that's
when you have 3, you can do that.
Yeah, exactly.
If he was the only first round pick they had that round, they didn't make the other 2 trades, they probably get a little more
aggressive.
Yeah, they get somebody who would be,
higher floor or lower ceiling maybe.
Yeah, a guy that'd be more that they wouldn't want to wait 4 or 5 years for. But since you already got Korchinski, you could take a Rinzel and take your time.
Question from 745 Moto fan in the chat. How many first-round picks do the Hawks have right now? So let me recap
2.
The next 2 years of picks for the Blackhawks. 2023 draft, that's the upcoming one, obviously. 2 first-rounders, their own in Tampa's. 2 second-rounders, their own in Tampa's. 2 third-rounders, their own in Dallas's. Their own 4th, their own 5th, and their own 7th. Okay? Now, there's going to be a lot more added to that because they're going to add some at the deadline. 2024, their own in Tampa's. 2second round, their own in Vancouver's. That's the Jason Dickinson trade. Round 3, their own in Ottawa's. Round 5, their own in Calgary's. Round 6 and round 7, they have their own. And then in 2025, 1 in each round, but that's down the road. So in the next 2 years, they've got 8 picks in the first 2 rounds and 12 in the first 3.
Yeah,
that's good.
That is how you rebuild
quickly.
And they're gonna,
that number should
go up. 745 Moto also says if they can get another first round, that would be awesome. I would be very surprised if they don't.
If they didn't, yeah. And if they don't get another first round pick in this year's upcoming draft, I think it means one of 2 things: that Patrick Kane is sticking around, or they were somehow in the playoff hunt and decided not to tear everything down from this roster.
That leads us to our next what if. But before we get to that, why don't we update people on our friends at Shady Rays?
Yeah, let's do that. Let me scroll back.
You were wearing yours today, right?
I was wearing my Shady Rays.
You needed it today. It was a nice sunny day.
That was my favorite pair of Shady Rays. The with the clear frames and the polarized lenses. I've been a customer of Shady Rays for a couple of years, and when I saw they were coming on board here at CHGO, I was super excited. Shady Rays and myself always wondered why sunglasses are so darn expensive. So they set out to change it, and that's exactly what they did. You do not have to break the bank for quality sunglasses this fall because Shady Rays has you and your eyes covered. Shady Rays are premium polarized shades featuring world-class optical clarity, substantial durability, and styles catered to everyone and every lifestyle. Best part about Shady Rays, they have the most insane protection program in all of eyewear. Lost and broken replacements. If you lose or break your shades on day 1, they told us they will send you a brand new pair, no questions asked. So say you get yourself a pair the day before the draft lotto, the Blackhawks win the number 1 overall pick, you jump for joy, and your Shady Rays go flying out the window and shatter in a million pieces. Don't worry, they'll send you a new pair for free. Even with that strong of a protection program, they still manage to make quality that I can tell you for wearing them are just as good, if not better, than any one of those expensive brands on the market. And Shady Rays customers seem to agree with over 200,000 5-star reviews on their website. Speaking of 5-star reviews, give us a few on that Apple podcast. That'd be cool.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Let's see if we can catch Shady Rays.
Shady
Rays also provides 10 meals to fight hunger across America with every purchase and have donated over 20 million meals nationwide. That is freaking awesome, especially this time of year. They stand behind their product and told our team that if anyone has a problem, they will throw the profit directly out the window with your Conor Bedard sunglasses to do what it takes to get it right. Free returns and exchanges. You either love the shades or Shady Rays will pay to ship them back. And here's the most fun part. For our CHGO listeners, an exclusive deal just for you. Put 2 pairs of awesome Shady Rays in your cart. Use the promo code CHGO at checkout, and you're going to get 50% off any orders for 2 or more pairs of sunglasses. That's buy one, get one free the last time I did the math, and that is an awesome deal. Get 2 pairs of great shades for as low as $54. That deal is amazing. Take it from me, who was wearing Shady Rays earlier. Won't get to wear them on the walk back to the car because it'll be dark out, but that's okay. So shadyrays.com. Grab yourself 2 awesome pairs for the price of 1.
If it's getting darker these days, right? Earlier than we'd all would like it to.
Noon.
Yeah. It's tough, and I know for our CHGO tailgates, I don't know if we have any that are going to be later in the day, but if they do, it's going to be dark out there. But I know one of the best things that we have going on for our CHGO tailgates, the next one coming up on Sunday, is our cornhole set.
Yes.
And if it is dark, thanks to the good people at Chi-Town Cornhole, you can turn on the LED lights that are on your cornhole set, and you can play bags or cornhole or whatever you want to call it at night. And you can still be able to get your cornhole game on. And again, that's thanks to Chi-Town Custom Cornhole, the #1 cornhole provider for Chicagoland and Illinois since 2007. They hooked us up with some amazing CHGO branded cornhole sets. You've seen them at the CHGO tailgates. They're here in the office. I don't know why they're not set up more often, but they look great. They are the signature box-style design that Chi-Town Cornhole uses, and they can be digitally printed, covered in vinyl, and painted to whatever you want to do. They're very customizable. Their cornhole boards come with built-in drink holders, so you got to love that. And they also have the abacus-style scorekeeping, so when you're getting good use out of the drink holders, you can use those scorekeepers to remember what the score is. You don't have to keep it up there in your head. They also have the exterior handles, great for carrying because those things are built sturdy, real wood, so they're a little heavier, but they got those carrying handles. They're handcrafted. It's great. Chi-Town Cornhole is a veteran-owned and operated business, so you got to love that as well. They can ship anywhere and also offer local pickups. So go check out their website, chitowncornhole.com. Make sure you follow them on Instagram at Chi-Town_custom_cornhole boards. Again, that's Chi-Town Custom Cornhole boards.
All right, and hockey fans, it is finally time to hit the ice again. And thanks to DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, you're in for the season of a lifetime. New customers, you can bet $5 on any team and get $200 back in free bets if they win. I have been loving these same game parlays. I put one down tonight. Not a huge payout if it hits, but it's Penguins and Caps tonight. I put down for Crosby and Ovechkin to both score goals.
Ooh.
Plus 390. I put down $5. It'll pay out $24.50 if I win.
That's not bad.
So that's fun,
Yeah.
right? It's not a huge payout, but something to keep an eye on when you got two of the greatest of all time going at it. You want to keep an extra eye on that game, and those same game parlays make it a lot of fun. And you can root for Dylan Strome too, who owes me $5. If that wasn't enough excitement, you can combine those bets. Like, it's not just goal scoring, right? It's which team will win, how many total goals will be scored. There's so many ways to go through these same game parlays. It's awesome. It's how you put a little money down and get a big payout back when you win. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. You can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. I withdrew the other day and got it in my bank the next day.
Nice.
It's awesome. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Use the code CHGO. Bet $5 on any NHL team to win their game and get $200 back in free bets if they win. That's code CHGO at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See the show notes for details. On your way to the show notes, smash that like button on YouTube. We would greatly appreciate that. And like Greg said earlier, make sure you're subscribed on your podcast app and leave us a 5-star review if you're feeling friendly in that way.
Shout out to our buddy in the chat here, the Steve.
Not just
Hello,
Steve.
this is not Steve from Cicero.
I think this is the
Steve
new
from
verification process on YouTube. You just put the in front.
Checking in from Scotland. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Thank you for
Appreciate
listening.
it.
We are international. We know we've got Mexico. We got listeners in Germany, I believe.
Yep.
Brazil, and now Scotland. We're worldwide. That's awesome.
Need
Thank you.
a map of the world. Put little pins in there.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
CHGO fans.
Hey, you can't do world domination until you go international.
That's
and
true.
We are international.
That is true.
Yep, that's true. All right, so our last what if of the show is probably the most far-fetched, but it's also fun. What if on March 3rd, 2023, the Blackhawks are in playoff position? Right now, the Hawks are on an 82-point pace. They have 12 points, 12 games, probably not playoff
That
position.
won't do it.
So something would have to get better, right? They'd have to get hot. But if the Hawks are in playoff position, do either of you guys see any scenario in which Kyle Davidson deviates from the path and tries to add anything or decides to hold on to Athanasiou Domi and see what happens?
He already told us. We're sticking to the plan.
Yep.
I mean, it's a tough sell. It'll be hard to sell to the fans. It'll really be hard to sell to those guys in the room to say, hey, you guys are right there, but we're going to get rid of all your best players. But he said that's what he's going to do.
You got to be real.
Yeah.
like the Bears.
Making the playoffs this year is not part of the plan.
Yeah.
If they are in anything better than a wild card position on March 3rd, I just worry about the messaging that you're sending to these players that I acknowledge and agree they're not here for the long haul. You're not building with many or any of these guys theoretically. But if you're in the third spot in the Central and you got cushion in the over the wild card or over being out of the playoffs, and you're like, hey, great season, guys. It's over on March 3rd. Everyone's gone. Man,
Yeah, but none of those guys are going to be here. I don't care about that.
I know. I'm just saying, like, but if you're saying to the future free agent class of summer of 2023, summer of 2024, like, yeah, like Kyle Davidson's going to go out and he's going to be, aggressive in this. But if you go to a free agent and say, hey, you want to come here, sign a 3-year deal, maybe make something for yourself, maybe be a part of something cool, but you have the mentality or you have the idea in the back of your mind, like, hey, if I do really well and I like it here, I might get shipped. Like, I think that does something to the mentality of the players. And we've seen a team like Vegas who has no loyalty to their players and just ships people in and out, trying to continuously stay competitive. And I think some guys sign up for that and they know what they're going to get. But I think it might mess with the mentality of the players coming in, might mess with, looking at Kyle Davidson as a GM. I agree. I agree with the fact that, this year's goal is not to get into the playoffs. It's not to have a deep playoff run. It's to get the best odds at having the top overall pick. But I think as far as setting a culture and having, we've seen so many times in so many ways the way that this locker room is in a better spot than it was last season. And I don't know. I have questions about the kind of messaging and culture that tossing everybody. If you're in the very, very unlikelihood that they're in a playoff position, a solid playoff position by the trade deadline, I wonder what tossing everyone out the window on March 3rd would actually do. Yeah,
I see what you're saying. And Greg and I were in the locker room today after practice, and they were about to get in the bus, but everybody's laughing, having a good time. Jonathan Taves is playing a tape basketball with Reese Johnson across the locker room. Everybody's got smiles on their face. It is a good vibe in there. But I think, to Greg's point, who is here that matters in the future? And I think sometimes we can romanticize athletes a little bit. I don't think they pay that much attention. I really don't. I think, we're talking about Austin Matthews, right? And he's a free agent after next season, correct? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there's going to have a bunch of teams bidding for him if the Leafs don't wise up and resign him. I don't think he's going to be like, well, the Hawks are offering me $12 million, but remember last year they were in a playoff hunt and they signed. I just don't know how realistic that is. Yeah, it's going to have an impact on the guys in the room, and they'll be pissed. And maybe the way you do that, if you are in this very unlikely scenario that they're in firm playoff position at the trade deadline day, is you just don't burn it down, right? You still move Domi. You still move Athanasiou. I would still hope you move Kane. But you're talking about guys like borderline guys like Connor Murphy, Jake McCabe. I don't know. Stalock, Mrazek. It's kind of up in the air whether or not they're going to be trade pieces or not. And what would the value of that return be, right? Last year, we kind of roasted the Hawks for not trading Dylan Strome, but it turned out the only offer they got was a 6th-round pick. So, okay, there probably is a little bit of this team dealt Dylan Strome for a 6th. That's different, right? Mm-hmm. But if the plan is to rebuild and the reality is, look, we've got these guys who are walking anyway, we've got to get something for them. I don't know if that's something that gets held against them.
I think if this scenario happens, spoiler alert, it's not, but if it does, and then Kyle Davis says, well, we're going to stand pat. We're not going to trade any. We're not going to add any pieces, but we're going to stand pat. We're going to go for a playoff run. Then you're right back where you were with he who should not be named. I think they're on the flip coin, and your argument about what message is sent, it's spot on. But the opposite side of that coin is, well, you got a GM that's brutally honest with you. I told you this was what I was going to do, and I'm still going to do it. Mm-hmm. That, I think, gets some respect as well, too. Sure. We're like, hey, this guy is transparent. He told us what he was going to do, and he still did it. And, free agents, they come here and say, well, they may trade me in 3 years. Well, if you're brought in, you're part of the core, you're part of the rebuild. If you guys are winning in 3 seasons, that's the plan. That's not the plan right now.
Right.
So it would be a super tough spot, but I think Kyle Davidson has already said, I'm sticking with it. Somebody, I think was it after the Edmonton game?
Yeah.
Was it Mark Spector or Mark Masters, one of those Edmonton
Spector.
Marks, asked him and said, hey, what happens if this is still going? He says, nope, we're sticking to the plan. And I believe him when he says that. So,
and I think he's had it seems like he's been pretty upfront with the players about how things are going too and how they're going to go.
Seems that way.
Yeah, I would think that when he signed Max Domi saying, hey, we're going to put you up there with Patrick Kane, and we're going to get you top 6 minutes. We're going to get you on the top power play. You're going to go crazy at the faceoff circle, and then I'm going to put you in a spot where you can win a Stanley Cup, and we're going to reap the benefits from it.
Yep.
Why else would you come here except to draft up? I mean, these guys know what's going on. I know they want to win, and they say that they want to win, but they realistically know what's going on here. They're not going to kid themselves. We'll see what happens. I don't think we're going to have to worry about this scenario.
No, yeah.
Right.
That's what
honestly, I
show.
really hope we don't have to worry about this scenario, because lots of things would have to go right/wrong depending on your point of view for that to happen. Right. But it would be a tough situation for Kyle Davidson, and he would want to choose what is more important to him, his reputation for being honest GM, or do you want to take a beating for be the guy that broke apart a playoff team? Even though if you do that and you win a Stanley Cup in 4 or 5 years, no one's going to care anymore.
Right. Yeah.
Did anybody in 2005, any White Sox fans in 2005, were they harping about the white flag trade anymore? No, they weren't. It was forgotten. Mm-hmm. So now they're harping about it again, but but that's being a Chicago fan. You never let go of the bad, no matter how good it gets.
Yeah, exactly.
So, let's just keep praying to the hockey gods that scenario doesn't happen.
Yep. All right, that's going to do it. Let's remind everybody tomorrow night, late night puck drop will be on postgame. We're going to be with you. We're going to do it from the comfort of our homes, but we will be with you postgame after the LA game tomorrow night. And then Friday, if you're not busy, the three of us are headed up to South Bend. Over to South Bend to watch the Notre Dame Fighting Irish and the Michigan Wolverines play in hockey. We're going to see Adam Fantilli with the Wolverines and Hawks prospects Landon Slaggert and Ryder Ralston, still the greatest hockey name ever for Notre Dame. So it's going to be a good time coming out to the game. I looked the other day, and tickets on Notre Dame's website were $15.
Not bad.
So I don't know if they're still available, but it's going to be a big game.
Big rivalry.
Coming out and watching. Yeah, they play. I think they play Saturday too.
Two, I believe, top 15 teams that are ranked.
Yeah.
So
I have never been to a outside of like a club level game at the University of Illinois Champaign. I've never been to an NCAA hockey game. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Hey, guys, the election was yesterday, right?
It was.
Okay. Stop calling me.
I didn't vote for your guy. Leave me alone.
Why didn't you vote for me, Mario?
S. Cameron Likely. That guy's a jerk. Won't leave me alone either.
Let's wrap up. Thanks, everybody, for joining us in a chat. If you've not, on your way out, please smash that like button. Make sure you're following us on social media at CHGO Blackhawks. Make sure you get tickets to the tailgate at allchgo.com. Become a member, get some merch, all that great stuff at allchgo.com. So for Greg and Mario, thanks to Steven for running the show. I'm Jay. We'll talk to you Thursday, well, probably Friday morning, actually, after Hawks and Kings on the West Coast. This has been the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast.